Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this from just the news. States taking lead to counter big tech assault on conservative speech. As of February 5th, 18 states had introduced some sort of legislation to ensure that political views aren't suppressed by big tech, said Heartland Institute Cameron Schulte. Well, if Trump failed, and that's one of my biggest criticism of Trump, that and a few other things, for instance, the overregulation of certain weapons, like dump stock ban, and a few other things that I don't recall right now, because after spending so much time trying to debunk bullshit from the ctrl-left on Trump, you kind of forget the bad things that you dislike about him, or the things he did wrong in your opinion. But my biggest gripes is that he didn't quite do enough to tackle internet censorship done by the Democrats themselves. So, and the big tech, that includes you, Alphabet, Google. Anyway, let's go and read this. Sorry about the screen not being 100% or up onto the par, but I tried to squeeze in most of the surface to area ratio on the screen as possible, but it didn't quite go as planned. It just means I have to actually spend some time editing the shit out of this, and now, you know, it's gonna be a pain in the bunghole. Could I actually do it? No, it doesn't. No, I don't think Vegas can actually do it. I'm gonna have to actually do it manually from the start. I'm gonna have to go to Photoshop and edit it out. Jesus, just a lot of work, and I don't feel like doing it. Either way, let's go and read the news. Conservatives aren't convinced President Joe Biden's call for unity includes protecting their freedom to speak on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Well, actually, that didn't take long, because we all know Joe Biden's unity call was pretty much... what's the word for it? Hollow! Several red states, including Texas and Florida, are taking the initiative instead after social media giants deplatformed President Donald Trump, along with a bevy of high-profile conservatives like MyPillow CEO MacLeod. Well, actually, they are doing more than Trump did in regards to this, but it's better than nothing. Quite frankly, I wish they would have done more, and I wish Trump would actually at least try to join Gab. But then again, I feel like they are going to use Gab against him on a possible run in 2024. So I kind of understand why, but then again, it will also mean he won't be able to reach his constituents, like he did with Twitter. Cameron Schulte, Government Relations Director at the right-leaning Heartland Institute, says on February 5th, 18 states had introduced some form of legislation. Jesus Christ, why can't I pronounce that word? Legislation to ensure that political views aren't suppressed by what many dub the big tech. The big, beautiful cabal of big tech. Previously, conservatives hoped Congress might step up enforcement of or tweak Section 230, which is what I'm advocating for. Tweak, modify, improve, alter, not strike it down. And Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which protects companies like Facebook from being legally liable if users create damaging content. Then candidate Joe Biden even criticized Section 230 in an early 2020 interview, saying it should be revoked for platforms like Facebook that share falsehoods they know to be false. Well, in this case, he was probably just advocating or going out of script, because, you know, he's not quite here. Or or in the falsehoods as an actual factual information, but it's not approved by the Democrats, so it becomes fake, even though it's factual. Anyway, the subject concerns far more than shared memes and baby pictures across the digital landscape, Schulte says. I'm reluctant to call social media the modern town square, but let's be perfectly clear. Schulte says social media is how many people communicate and share their political and religious views. But here is where a surprise state comes in. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. If he runs for president in 2024 and Trump is out for something, he'll get my support. I just wish I could get an American citizenship so I could go right there in the front of the ballot and cast my vote for Ron DeSantis or Ted Cruz or someone else like them. Either way, these two guys have been championing the free speech movement. Even Dan Crenshaw is doing pretty good. In my view, in regards to all of those things, it's amazing how these people are actually fighting for the average Joe. Hey, even if Hashi Tischler becomes, hey, I'm gonna run for president, don't worry, I'll be there to vote for him. These are the politicians that I feel like they actually care for the average Joe. And they get my support. Either way, let's go on. Is using his power and bully pulpit to counter big tech assault on conservative viewpoints. The Republican leader introduced legislation early this month that would create a $100,000 daily fine for platforms that censor political candidates. The proposal would let social media users sue sites like Facebook. This is very good. Alright, let's go and jump in. They can deny you if you're a small business, payment processing, the ability to use email and text. So you can go and rally and they don't like. So you go to a rally that they don't like, or you engage in wrong thing, and all of a sudden your flower business is decapitated for a month because they take action. Exactly. Because unfortunately the big tech has been infiltrated by the ctrl-left, the Tumblerinas, the ma'am genders, the useless nobodies, the people who actually want all the power in the world. But these people would be one of the first to get shot by the socialist utopia they advocate. Remember, back in Nazi Germany, the socialist utopia they enacted, they were one of the first ones to be shot. That also comes in from the communist utopia that became the Soviet Union. They also ended up being shot. The same thing that happened with the other socialist utopia, which is Maoist China, and they also got shot. The same thing happened in Cuba, North Korea, things like that, because they are usually the first targets, since they don't always subscribe 100% to the winning party. Let's go on. Florida State Representative Randy Fine, nice name, meanwhile, has proposed a plan to divest state funds from social media giants he says are squeezing the free speech right of Florida citizens. It is clear that Twitter and Facebook are engaged in one-sided viewpoint discrimination targeting conservatives, and it is not disputed that Amazon, Apple, and Google are actively working to eliminate any alternative outlets where conservatives can speak freely. Yes, Parler. Let's jump out and go and focus here. For now, organizations like ACLU are standing on the sidelines. 10-20 years ago, ACLU used to stand even on very deplorable and very questionable people. For instance, the KKK, because it's the principle, free speech, no matter who says it, needs to be defended. Even if I disagree with them, even if it's a filthy neo-Nazi, one must go on and defend his or her speech, regardless of how stupidly retarded it is. But The only way to fight that stupidly retarded, inbred, absolutely objectionable speech is with sorry, allergies, with more speech, way more speech, because that's the only way to beat retarded ideas. It's not with censorship, but with more speech. Anyway, I don't know of any left-leaning groups that are on our side. Hindraker says they are not in favor of free speech, to be blunt. Exactly, none of them are in favor of free speech. The left-wing idiots, the left-wing zealots, are pretty much doing exactly what they have done all throughout the time. Exactly what they did in Nazi Germany, exactly what they did in the communist Russia, exactly what they did in China and Cuba and North Korea and Vietnam and in Latin America, more and more, is that they are never in favor of free speech. They always censor. Anyway, Schulte says the highest profile Democrat to critique big tech is former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. She told the Daily Caller that efforts to amend Section 230 evaporate once legislators encounter lobbyists associated with Facebook or Google. They used to censor, squash the voices that they don't want to be heard or that they disagree with, she said. The power that they have to influence our society, to influence our democracy, is too great. Schulte says recent political statements make the state's efforts against big tech even more critical. Recent weeks saw Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez urge her supporters to identify unflattering tweets and hashtags about her account at the Capitol riots last month and report them to Twitter as disinformation, despite being factual. Schulte says that is a chilling manipulation of the private sector to engage in a conduct that is otherwise forbidden by government if it were engaging in it itself. Yes, free speech is needed, is absolutely needed. And once again, the only way to fight a retarded speech is with more speech, with factual speech. It doesn't matter if the imbecile you're targeting is a communist or a neo-Nazi, it doesn't matter. You need to defend his right or her right to say that retarded bullshit. And the only way to fight that retarded bullshit, no matter if it's anti-Semitic or anything like that, is with more speech. And unfortunately, the ctrl-left doesn't realize that, because they are all about control, and to control what you say and what you think. On that note, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell button if you want more content like this. Obviously you want to, especially my beautiful mug on your screen or my beautiful voice. But if you want content where I don't censor myself, head to minds.com/Dr. Jester. For current content, stay right here on youtube.com/Dr. Jester. Anyway, thank you for watching. Good night.